Do you want work-life balance? Let's talk about that. Work-life balance is actually personal agency. The last video I did, I talked about quiet quitting, and I got lots of responses, and some of them not so good. And I think the reason is I didn't really provide enough context. When I was in finance, and I was about 35 years old, I had just had my first child, I started having anxiety. And I wasn't sure what the anxiety was about. I really didn't even admit to myself that it was anxiety. But I was having panic attacks and found myself really stressed out at work. I started journaling. I noticed that I kept saying the same thing. I was meant to do something and I didn't know what it was. And what I realized is that I was kind of floundering. I was a good employee. I worked crazy hours because I wanted to. To me, it was all about chasing that next promotion and getting ahead. And so what that did is it consumed me. And I found myself working 12-hour days. I'd work Saturdays on a regular basis. And frankly, I was getting burnt out. Now, my bosses never said, "Hey, Russ, slow down, take it easy." They were enjoying the fact that I was working so hard. But what I did is I had to build support with my family, and I had to build support with myself. And I had to really kind of negotiate with my boss about what I needed to do. And that took a lot of courage so I want you to know that I understand being in a situation that's difficult, that's really hard to handle, but a lot of it is self-imposed, and it is with me. Now, sometimes it's not self-imposed. Sometimes the boss is a jerk and they expect you to work crazy hours, and that's not cool either. And that is also up to you to make those change or to renegotiate that contract. What I did is I journaled, I made a plan, I looked at my situation, and I began to make plans of change. Let me give you some examples of some of the symptoms that you might see when someone's in that situation. You hang around the office late because in your mind, the value of working hard is directly related to the time you spend, and that's not true. What successful people do is they learn to think and do things differently. When we find ourselves making excuses about certain things, so let me give you an example. I'm at the office and I find myself saying to my boss, "Oh, I have to leave at 5 o'clock because I have to pick up the kids and I have to, I have an appointment and I got to bring my father somewhere," or whatever this is. Why am I telling him that? Why don't I just say, "Oh, it's 5 o'clock. I have a personal errand to run. I'll see you later." Why am I feeling that I need to give details? I'm giving details because I don't want them to think my value is something less, and I'm telegraphing to them that the time I spend in the office is the most important thing. But if you practice saying, I have a personal thing to do, or I'm not going to make that meeting because I have another meeting, you'll find that people aren't going to question you, and they're not even going to matter. You're bringing attention to yourself that time is the problem. What you need to do is be able to, with your own personal agency, it doesn't matter where you're going after work. It doesn't matter what things you have to do. I worked for a guy, Frank. There was an expectation that we needed to work, get the job done. But Frank, my boss, had a very regimented schedule. He came in exactly at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he left every day at 5 o'clock. Now, yeah, you might argue that's more than 8 hours, but that was his schedule. And no matter what was going on, he left at 5 o'clock. And I admired that, and I thought that was really powerful. Another example was we had been working on a project, and Frank was the manager of the department. We were working crazy hours to try to get this thing done. Frank felt bad about us working that time, and we all were tired, but we felt kind of good in doing that work. But it had reached a point where we were all kind of burnt out and sick of this situation. And we went into a plant manager's meeting. And this is the highest level of the company, and we were giving a presentation, and at the end of the meeting, the plant manager said, "Well, this is unacceptable. We need to rework these numbers again, and we need to come up with another proposal by Monday." So we all, with our books in our arms, walked out of the meeting, and Frank stopped halfway through, turned around, walked right back into the boardroom and said, "With all due respect, my team is not working the weekend to provide something for Monday." And guess what the plant manager said? "Awesome, no problem. I understand your team's been working hard. Can we get it by Thursday?" And that was another powerful lesson. Frank just asked for what he wanted. There was no thinking that he was somehow disruptive or not a good employee or not a good boss. In fact, he probably looked like a good boss because he was taking care of his people and paying attention to what their needs are. A big mistake we make is we do not ask for what we want. We do not claim what is ours. We instead feel like victims to whatever's going on, and then we kind of roll with the victimhood. If you like this content, hit the subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you at the next video.